Ready. Play.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. A slightly unfamiliar face for maybe people who regularly tune into ATP Weekly, but if you tune into Talking Tennis regularly, you will have seen me many times before. Damien is at a challenger in Austria, so I switched things around a bit and I got him to fill in last night on WTA Weekly. So do check that video out. But Mario, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, and yeah, very excited for as I will be in Rome this week. So I'm very excited, regardless of the players who will be or not in. For me, it's always very joyful to, of course, to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned in the title about Alcaraz, Sinner, Medvedev, Lehecka. Has Medvedev officially pulled out yet?
No, so it will be in the draw, I think, because the draw is
Okay.
right now.
Yeah.
So and the tournament, literally 5 minutes before I entered, has published a post on Instagram with 8 pictures of the 8 top seeds, and Medvedev was in as the number 2 seed. So
Okay.
I think he will be in the draw. Maybe he's on his way to recover at this point. Since he will be probably in the draw, I hope that he will be able to play for sure.
Yeah, that's good news for him anyway. Of course, there are one or two other absences. We'll get to Rome a little bit later. But
Yeah,
first of all,
sure.
let's begin with Andrei Rublev winning his second Masters 1000 title after winning in Monte Carlo last year. He's backed that up with a win yesterday. When I was watching the final, Mario, I was thinking in the third set, this could be a pretty bad defeat for Andre. And I know Felix has not won a 1000 yet, but I saw the ceremony afterwards. Felix looked like he was quite smiley, didn't seem to be affected too badly. I don't know. I just felt like Rublev needed this more.
I mean, of course, it would have been huge for both, also for Felix. But first of all, Andre, has made a lot of 1000 finals. This was his 5th final, so getting a second title for sure, it's important. He was also the better player in the third set, so a loss, would have been, he was having a lot of chance. Right before the game, he managed to break Felix in the 12th game. He had won 18 return points against 3, and still he hadn't get the break. So losing this kind of set, and then the okay, okay, it's me.
My internet is coming and going, but that's good. Yeah. Anyway, I've just got this little image on the screen right now as well.
Yeah. Also, showing that he was having a very poor patch before this tournament, because maybe it's my connection this time.
The loss in Monte Carlo sort of stands out a little bit for me.
Yeah, maybe because I was also thinking, okay, that was bad in the Sunshine Double. Now we back on the clay, and a new kind of a new moment of the season starts. So maybe he will be able to, turn pages and start playing better. And he did, a couple of losses. But yeah, that's Andrei Rublev, a player who's very consistent, but also, he's showing that he can react to bad patches. For example, last year he had a couple of, very close defeats in Canada and Cincinnati, and then, had a good US Open run till the quarterfinals. So yeah, but to answer to your question, yeah, I feel like it was even bigger for Andre. Felix, of course, the chance is very big, but also maybe the path to the final, I don't want to say that makes it like that it wasn't maybe fully deserved, because of course you have to show up, and he's been top 10, won titles, and so but maybe you also feel like, okay, maybe it wasn't really this my time. But yeah, in general it was a big chance for both also, in a tournament full of injuries, and then we have found out that Rublev was sick throughout the whole tournament,
Oh, was
had
he?
having a
Okay.
virus. He told yesterday in the interviews and press conferences, and to every TV he showed up, that he had to take injections on his foot, and it's
Oh.
because he caught a virus, and
Mm-hmm.
he has a sore throat, and he ate baby food for children
Mm-hmm.
throughout the first days of this tournament. So he was feeling very, very bad. And he actually won the tournament in the end. So yeah, he was thanking also during the trophy ceremony all the medical team of the tournament, because praising the job they did to make him able to play. So it's a bit also ironic that the tournament filled with injuries has been won in the end also by a sick player.
I
Maybe
see.
there wasn't a player who was sick or
Yeah,
injured.
right. I mean, listen, Felix did beat Casper on the way, but as you
Yeah.
say, imagine if Andre pulls up during that final and says that I can't hit another ball. That would have been a bizarre way to win a 1,000 title. I didn't see his win over Casper, Felix's, but I mean, Manarino on clay, I think we know where he's at. Obviously, the walkovers and the injuries to other opponents before playing Andre in the final. But yeah, I mean, that is a good win over Casper. Maybe Casper is thinking, you know what? I don't. Yeah, I know. Casper must be
Yeah.
thinking I could have got to another 1,000 final and maybe even won the title. But on the other side, I think Casper needs a rest too.
Yeah, for sure. It is also too early, round of 16 to think a
Yeah.
lot about this. I mean, of course, if he would have won that match, he most probably would have reached the final, and it would have been probably his biggest chance, because Tsitsipas in Monte Carlo is also a very, difficult task, and also, with the virus Rublev had, and maybe Kasper could have been too much if he had played well in the final. Who knows? So the chance for sure would have been very big for him too. But yeah, it's we've also talked a lot about Andre's ability to use his chances, as he did, for example, in Monte Carlo last year. When there is a tournament like this one, he was very close to do it again in Shanghai at the end of last year, losing only in the third set tiebreak against Turkac. So yeah, I mean, I would say that overall, considering also all his past 1,000 finals, I think that we can consider it a deserved achievement. And for the second time on clay, which is my opinion is no coincidence for me, because Rublev is a guy who basically brings on the same level on both surfaces, and in my opinion, clay is actually right now where he can have the most chances, because other players maybe are not that comfortable on it, and maybe also I don't know what happened with the injuries. Probably it's one of the reasons. Andre is also one of the most consistent players, also physically, playing a lot, and he rarely gets injured. Even this thing is kind of a virus, not something really physical, like muscular or something like that. So yeah, in the end, it's a very huge win, and yeah, especially because of where he was coming. So that makes it even more impressive.
And he was the better player, especially in that third set when Felix was having to save so many break points. And I think there was a stat about how many points were played on serve. And I think Felix was playing double the number of points of Andre in that third set.
Yeah, but also I think that in the third set it was a 7-5, and I think that Andre won kind of 12 or 13 more points than Felix in the
Yeah,
whole set, which is huge gap.
yeah.
And yeah, but basically because he lost only 3 points on serve out of 6 games, and on return he had a lot of chances, and then for sure, as you said, makes it even more important at some point for him, because Felix maybe can just think about it and say, in the end, I didn't have a real chance in the end to win this. I was just resisting, doing my best effort in order to prolong this match as long as possible and maybe have a chance, but in the end he didn't got it. So he didn't get it. So I mean, for Rublev would have been, of course, more worse. Imagine if he had
Uh-huh.
lost that in a third set
Uh-huh.
tiebreak, and then you think about
Mhm.
all those break points, and so yeah, in the end, I definitely agree with you. And Felix is a young player. It was a huge chance for him, but who knows? Maybe he can have another one, maybe on the hard courts indoors, for example, where I feel he is, of course, the most comfortable. And so yeah, let's just see. And for sure, it's going to be big for his ranking also, because now he's back in the top 20. So there are
Okay.
for sure a lot of positives to take also from his Madrid experience.
Yeah, a couple of things, and then we'll move on. But Felix must have been wishing that this luck that he had, let's call it, would have happened on a hard or an indoor hard tournament rather than on clay. But maybe Madrid suits him with his bigger service game. But the other thing I want to mention is it felt a bit like a football team hanging on for penalties.
Yeah.
A team is getting dominated. It's I don't know, a Mourinho team against Barcelona by Guardiola, and it's just like, just let's get to the penalty shootout, and you never know. And if he'd have hung on for that tie break, well, who knows what might have happened. But as you say, Rublev getting over the line very much deserved.
Yeah, even if he was also, in my opinion, a bit feeling the moment also, Felix, because he was also cramping in the end during the changeovers. He was receiving,
Yeah.
but it didn't feel like an injury because there was no MTO, so it should have been just cramping. And actually a bit weird if you consider that it's not that he played the most intense couple of weeks of tennis. And so I feel that maybe he was also feeling the moment, being in this tight battle third set. But yeah, in the end also, and especially on clay, even if Madrid, Andre's baseline quality, the ability even of read kind of well the serve, he was returning better and better as the match went on. Of course, it made a difference. Felix has this kind of yeah, when the rally becomes longer, he starts to be more vulnerable. And in the end, when Rublev settled and started pushing, Felix was winning very, very few of these baseline rallies. And in the end, he was still serving amazing, did a great job, even if a couple of double faults in the end. But yeah, I feel that he needs to be a bit more reliable, especially on the backhand side, if he really wants to make this quality jump and hang it up there, not only for a couple of months, but to be more consistently at the top and try to win some big trophy. But of course he has the quality to do it for a couple of weeks and maybe to win one Masters. This is without there's no doubt about this.
Yeah. Looking back through the draw, the semi-finalists of Taylor Fritz and Jiří Lehecka. Let's begin with Lehecka. And I think maybe of all the injuries and withdrawals, etc., Yannick is going to be fine. He's going to win lots more titles. Same with Carlos as well. But there was Lehecka. I think he's going to win big titles as well. But he was the one going into the semi-finals. I thought, if he plays like he's been playing in this tournament, for me, he was my pick at the semi-final stage, and so I was particularly disappointed for him to get injured against Felix.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but even if you consider, their career so far and this in the season, Yannick and Carlos have already won at least, one Masters title. Talking about Carlos, Sinner won a Master, the Australian Open. So, and for Lehecka, it was a pretty big opportunity. Now also he has withdrawn from Rome. So in this clay season, he missed Monte Carlo, Barcelona, Rome, played in Madrid and got to the semis. It was a very huge opportunity, and indeed, we also we also have seen on the court that he was very sad and disappointed. Maybe a Sinner wouldn't have felt so maybe disappointed from the
Sure.
situation as it is happened, because it's totally different case and situation. For Lehecka, it was also a very big opportunity, especially because in the draw there wasn't an unbeatable, let's say, player. Even if, regardless of who is in the other semifinal, you're still in the semi of a Masters. So it's very bad to lose this opportunity in this way. Maybe you just play very bad, lose 3-2, and it's okay. But this way, you have this feeling that something external forced you to not being able um, to follow up this good run, because even if Medvedev got injured, it's still been a good one. The match against Nadal was very entertaining, probably the match I enjoyed the most throughout the whole men's tournament.
Okay.
And yeah, let's see. Fortunately, also Lehecka is a young player, so he can, hoping that this back stuff will be healed soon. He can be very dangerous also with the serve he has also on the grass. So let's hope he can be fine, first of all, for the French Open, and especially going forward. So far, still very good things to take for him from this tournament. But yeah, for sure, with bittersweet feeling, because in the end, not being able to play that semifinal, it's really been bad to also to see. He was very also broke a racket going off the court.
Oh, did he?
Understandable.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I felt bad for him. I hope, as you just touched on there, that he's going to be okay for the French Open, which starts in about just under 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks yesterday. It will be the first round of the main draw at the French Open. I think it's the 26th or 27th of May, something like that, 26th of May. So the time and the clock is ticking for Yuri, Yannick, and Carlos as well, because these are three players in Madrid that all got injured in one way or another. Yannick and Carlos, though, are we optimistic that they will be okay for the French Open?
I don't know actually, because all the things, you know, especially about Sinner, because I'm here in Italy, so I hear his name maybe 30 times per day, especially right
Mm-hmm.
now. Every news program is, I just can't watch anymore, because I'm tired to hear about people who don't know absolutely anything talk,
Sure.
and give some kind of information which you don't know if you have to believe it or not. In the end, he had a press conference yesterday. He basically told that he felt fine to go in Madrid, because right now in Italy there's also this critic, like he should have just not go to Madrid and rest and focus on Rome. This kind of comments from people who just judge without knowing. He said he was fresh for going to Madrid, and then the injury, the issue he had came back, and so um, yeah, he told that he won't do miracles. If he's fine, he will go to Paris and play the French Open. If he's not 100%, he won't. And I mean, I feel like it's everyone's thought right now, and I think even Carlos probably will do the same, because he tried to accelerate for Madrid and didn't really go well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he, both will go to Paris if they are fine, also because they are 22 and 21, so that's not a real reason to force things and maybe make injuries be get worse because you want to play the French Open, which is of course one of the 4 most important things of the year. But if you are not very fine, you will go there in 2025. Let's just see and hope, first of all, that they will be fine, because they are, currently, if we exclude Djokovic, who is 37, they are the 2 strongest player in the world right now. So let's just hope they will be fine.
Yeah, regarding what you just touched on regarding Yannick and his participation in Madrid. I mean, if he's feeling good, you play, right? And then,
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
if an injury happens, for him, of course, it's because you've got an Italian who played the Spanish event, and then we've just mentioned Carlos, who's Spanish, who also played the Spanish event. But maybe Carlos is the one who was like, I could withdraw, but it's Madrid. So you can sort of understand that as well. But maybe looking back, he might wish that perhaps that he didn't play. But you want to play these, and sometimes with these injuries, by the way. And this is what I was thinking with Carlos. Sometimes with an injury, actually, not every injury, but sometimes it can get better as a tournament goes on. You might,
yeah. Also, we
you know,
see with also Djokovic at times.
definitely, yeah.
For example, the Australian Open in 2023, he had an issue, but could have played, and then it got better, and he was fine at the end of the tournament. So sometimes it happens. They're not stupid, and they have teams behind them. So I just find a bit silly what all these, for example, Italian media now are doing, judging as if they are Yannick's medical team, but they are professional athletes at the top of the sport, who have won majors, and they have strong teams behind them. So if they took that choice, it's because they felt they could have played. So yeah, even if Carlos, maybe, the tournament being Madrid played a role, but for sure, if he actually played, it's because he could have played. And so, yeah, now just let's see how their path goes on. Fortunately, with Rome is 2 weeks, so it's 3 weeks until the French Open. So maybe there is the time for both to recover, but yeah, let's see. Sinner yesterday didn't say, I'm sure I will go. Say that he will see how things go. Maybe he was also, I know the environment here, and maybe he was also wanting, to, a bit shut the media down. Telling, right, I will tell you when I'll be back. For now I'm injured and I'm not taking part in Rome. Paris, we'll see. If I'll be ready, I'll go. Don't make assumptions or something like that. So yeah.
Fair enough. Let's move over to Taylor Fritz on the other side, who also made the semis. A pretty good run for Taylor. He didn't have necessarily opponents withdrawing. Perhaps the conditions, perhaps in Madrid, suited him a little bit better. I thought the win, I watched the match against Cerundolo. Probably it felt kind of on Taylor's racket. I was sort of pulling for Cerundolo because I was hoping that he could pull off a miraculous win in Madrid, just because he's had a pretty rough first couple of months of the year. Although I will say this, from Indian Wells, where I thought he was really, really playing really well against Ben Shelton before losing that tiebreak. Since then, I think things have got a bit better for the Argentinian. But anyway, Taylor Fritz, his run to the semifinals.
Yeah, about that match, probably yes, I got also that feeling, but at the end, it's the opposite happened, in my opinion, because there was that bad game that Cerundolo had. Yeah, it was at the beginning, absolutely. Then it started becoming, a bit annoying as a match for Taylor, because Cerundolo was starting to hang in there.
Yeah.
Well, overall, it's been a very good run. If you see the 4 wins he got, it's very good. That there is a very good player who's doing very well this year, and especially on clay. Urkac was having a strong clay season, and maybe Madrid is also the court where it's the most difficult to return his serve out of all the clay courts venues. So yeah, maybe in the end, just you see the score in the semifinal, it's been pretty straightforward win for Andre. But in the end, Fritz is one of these players who was in need of a run, actually, because he won a 250 title in Derby Beach. Then the Sunshine Double was pretty disappointing, considering that in 2022 and 2023 also, with 2 quarterfinals, got there a lot of good points for the ranking, and this year it was very disappointing. So yeah, overall, recovering good feelings will be for sure important for going forward. Last year wasn't in Rome. If he has a good draw, Rome, for example, feels like a tournament where the draw will matter a lot. Okay, but then maybe we will talk, and maybe there will be also the full draw in 10 minutes. So yeah, for sure, very good feelings for him, without a doubt. I think it was a very solid run.
The Rome draw is happening in about 10 minutes.
I don't know. I just got a message from one people telling me that Draper can be in Medvedev's first match in Rome. So I think that they are making it right now.
Oh, okay, good. Because hopefully we'll be
I
able
know
to
it
share
was midday, midday local time. It was the
Yeah.
time, but I'm not following for it because
I can see the draw now. We'll come to the Rome draw in about 10 minutes, but I just want to touch upon a couple of other things before we get to Rome. Cerundolo we touched on as well. I've got Rafa, but is there any other player that you think we should touch upon regarding Madrid?
Madrid. Oh, no, I don't think so.
Khachanov, maybe. I mean, did you see his match with Sinner?
The usual solid Khachanov run and performance, also against Sinner. Sinner Khachanov matchup is that the classic matchup where you feel like both guys play kind of an annoying tennis for the other. The difference is not that huge because Khachanov is, can hang it in the rally, but in the end, there's something that Sinner in some moments can do better, and this makes the difference in the end. Also, the Australian Open, it was 3 sets to love for Sinner, but in my opinion, felt the most difficult match going, into the final for Sinner. No, it's.
I'm getting little bits of you. I'm not sure if it's my internet or yours. It could be both of us.
Set.
Yeah, sorry. You just broke up there, Mario.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
No problem. You're back.
Okay, I'm back. Hopefully forever. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about him because it's what I'm used to watch for him. Nothing disappointing and nothing incredible.
Okay, let's move on therefore to the aforementioned Rafa Nadal. Obviously, he had wins over Blanche, over De Minaur, and then Cashin, before ultimately losing to Lehecka, where Lehecka just was phenomenal. Some great touches at the net, big serving. All round, it felt like Lehecka was just probably slightly the better player, right, in that particular match.
Okay,
Mario?
I changed my connection to have more stability.
Cool.
Okay, so yeah, talking about Rafa, good, I would say. I don't know what were the expectations, but as for my expectations, a good tournament. Couple of, a good win, especially against the minor. Yeah, played a bit of ups and downs against Kachin, but I wasn't asking for a lot more. Even the loss against Lehecka. Yeah, Lehecka was the better player in the day, was looking more solid than, but
The
yeah,
first set
there's
was
not much.
good. I think the first 10
Yeah, very good.
games, 5-all was very good from
Yeah,
Rafa. But of
yeah.
course, he loses that set, and then I think Lehecka was the better player in the second set for sure.
Yeah, probably also after the good fight he put on against Caccini, he wasn't really able, after losing the first set against also a better player like Lehecka in that circumstance, to be able to come back and to play another 3-hour thing, to recover in the score. But overall, it's good matches. He's getting, and hopefully this will last till the end. He's getting, the, let's say, farewell tool, more or less, he desires, playing on the court at a good level, which doesn't mean exactly, for sure, reaching the final, winning the big title. I don't know if it will happen, but what we saw in Madrid, I feel like it is, good enough to consider, a decent, if he does well also in Rome, in French Open, without breaking something, which we hope for sure, he will get, the, let's say, last dance he wants to have, he desires, because he always says that he would love to say, come to say goodbye by playing and doing it, at a good level, which makes him feel like he's competitive. And that's what we got in Madrid. Even in the match he lost, which already was the fourth round, he was competitive. So I feel that we have good news. He's training in Rome. Today we'll hit the
Yep.
court for 3 hours.
Okay.
Let's hope it's not too much.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's just see. I'm very, very pumped to see something about him, of him in Rome, even if he will play on the stadium. I've not the access on the stadium. So, but yeah, also the environment of having him in the draw is different,
Definitely.
especially right now with these withdrawals, makes his presence even more important for
Yeah.
the World Tournament.
Yeah. Both him and Djokovic are going to be in the
Yeah.
same draw. I'm guessing for the first time since Australian Open last year, or I'm just trying to think, because he played Brisbane, but Djokovic wasn't
Yeah,
there.
Australian Open, I think.
So
Yeah,
I'm
you're right.
guessing Australian Open last year is the first time that those two. We talk about all the injuries. Well, the injuries are occurring to other players, but finally we've got Djokovic and Nadal in the same draw.
Yeah.
We'll look at that draw in a
Yeah,
minute.
you're right.
But that is another part of this Nadal conundrum. I think that you're right about the level. It's a good level. It's good enough to beat the players that he beat in Madrid, but it's also probably not quite good enough to beat the player he lost to right now. And by the way, Madrid, normally, if we looked at this as a normal Rafa year, say a couple of years ago, we go, oh, well, he loses to a pretty big server in Madrid who's playing really well. He doesn't do well in Madrid and hasn't done well there for 6 or 7 years. This is normal. Now he'll go and win Rome and the French Open like he always does. That's sort of a casual glance if you didn't know what had been going on the last couple of years with him. I'm still a little worried about what he might be like over 5 sets, because I think against Cashin and, as you said, maybe against Lehecka, there was a little bit of fatigue there. But I think he obviously is using Rome as well to hopefully build up some durability. And maybe 4 sets, potentially even 5, could be okay. I'm not worried about the recovery in the French Open, because it's
No, during the
sometimes.
match, you mean?
Yeah, it's in the match, because sometimes at the big tournaments, at the slams, you've got that 24. So you've got the 48 hours gap. That's helpful compared to the 1000s, where Monte Carlo, for example, is back to back. So I'm more worried about within the match when it gets to hour 4, hour 5. You know, whether he can, if it's against Karen Khachanov or somebody like this, I
Yeah.
just wonder where he might be at. Just seeing him over 3 sets and 3 hours against Cashin, I've still got some doubts. But he's getting better. But I think to be really competitive in Paris, and that means quarterfinal, semi-final, he probably still needs 1 or 2 more percent.
Yeah, I agree with this, with what you just said. So, yeah, for now, my expectations, given what happened in the last couple of years, is my first thought is that I really want him because it's what he deserves. That he, get to play another for other, I don't know how many months without having to start again from zero, because another injury would mean him not finishing on the court his career. And since he is Nadal, he is a living legend. He has a wall court named after him, and I really hope that he is able to do that. About Paris, I I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult because for sure
Draw
best of
is
5
huge.
draw will matter for sure.
You know, he's obviously unseeded. He'll definitely get a seed by the second round, I think, at the latest, but could even be the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be, he could get Novak, Yannick, Carlos in the firstround. You know, even if he doesn't get the first round, he could get Lehecka in the second round, or there's all.
Maybe that's even worse in my opinion, because at least if he gets to play one of the very top players, at least he gets to have this blockbuster match at the French Open, on the Chatrier, and maybe but if you manage to, if you get this first round against, for example, Khachanov or Fritz, or
maybe even an
it's even
outlier,
worse in my opinion.
outlier. Because I think the other thing
That's
is
just
Rafa. I think he could do with, if he plays Altmaier in the fourth round, I think he'll be probably okay and be the favorite. But if he plays Altmaier in the first round, same with maybe somebody like Lehecka, maybe a Mensik as well.
When you get right from the start these players,
the later he plays them, the better. He'll probably be the favorite going into those matches if it's the third, fourth, or quarter. But if it's first round, you're thinking, oh, you could have done with just a couple more matches to get over that. But we'll see.
Yeah,
listen, it's 50-50. If he gets a kind draw, which is also possible, then yeah, if he plays at this level now, he should win a couple of matches at least.
Let's hope they will fix the draw.
Well, talking of draws, let's go over to Rome because the draw is out. I'm showing it on the screen right now.
Oh.
Rafa's going to get a qualifier in the first round, and will
not
then,
kind
if he
to Novak.
Not kind for Novak. No, what's he got in the second round? Safiullin as a potential second round or a qualifier. Who that qualifier will be, don't
Then maybe
know.
there is Mensik, there is Serundolo, Khachanov, Ruud, maybe the toughest quarterfinal possible, along with Tsitsipas, one of the two. I don't
so
know.
basically,
it's not
looking
that
at his
kind,
looking at his quarter, the names that jump out to me: Casper Ruud, who beat him, of course, in Monte Carlo recently. Zhixing Sheng is not in the best form, so maybe shouldn't be so concerned about him. Ben Shelton can bring it, but maybe not so much in Rome. Maybe more like in Madrid would have been more suitable for him. Khachanov, who we just mentioned. I remember that Khachanov Djokovic match at the French Open last year. It was a really good encounter.
Yeah, basically the toughest moment, because there was the match with Alcaraz. They were one set all at a moment, but then Alcaraz got cramping. So it was really the toughest moment for Novak.
He lost the first set, and he also lost.
He was in the tiebreak in the second.
Yeah.
So he won that tiebreak 7-love or 1, but he was at the moment in the tiebreak, and so the second set was also very, very close actually. So maybe I think that tiebreak was maybe the toughest score situation he found in the last French Open. So but because Khachanov is one of these players that you have to be ready. Maybe also at the same speech, maybe Djokovic faces Kachanov in the final at the French Open, and it's way easier.
Yeah.
Let's see, it's not that easy, let's say, for him, because I also think that maybe he can, maybe get better as the tournament progresses. Who knows? Yeah, but overall, there are a lot of interesting things about this draw. For example, there's this Tsitsipas Rublev quarterfinals, which can feel maybe a big opportunity for both.
Yeah.
I don't want to be let's say, but getting higher in the ranking, even if you don't get to world number 4, maybe you can still be a top 4 seed at this French Open if someone withdraws. So it's not a thing to not consider, especially if you are someone like Rublev, who has lost 10 quarterfinals at slams, usually facing players like Sinner, Djokovic, Medvedev. So if suddenly you have an opportunity to be the 4th seed at the French, it's, suddenly you can have a draw that allows you to finally break this new ground. There are a lot of opportunities for these players.
Yeah, true. So I guess let's just, I mean, we're guessing here, but at the moment, we've got the top 4 pretty secure. But of course, with health issues regarding at least 3 of the 4, as you say, getting to world number 5 after this event for Tsitsipas, I guess it's available. Rublev, maybe Casper Ruud, all of these players potentially could get to world number 5 if they won the title in Rome.
Maybe depends on what Zverev does also.
Okay,
I
yeah,
guess,
Zverev as well,
because
of course, yes.
He had not, an outstanding performance last year in Rome, Zverev.
Okay.
So it's not really looking easy, but you never know. The higher you are in the ranking, the better it can be for you.
He's in Novak's quarter. So as you rightly pointed out, Novak's quarter is tricky. But actually, to the quarterfinal, I'm looking at Casper Ruud here, and his potential opponents don't look too scary for Casper. He's obviously got the bye, then it'll be Kecmanovic or qualifier. Manarino, Thompson, Monfils are all in that section. Kotov, Mikkelsen, Zhang, Galland. These are not players that I would even expect.
Also a fourth round potential against Shelton.
Oh, is that
Shelton
the
is
Shelton?
good.
Yes, Shelton is in his part. Of course, yes. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
but still,
but
that's still not too bad.
The Casper we've seen this year enters this match as a favorite,
And it also,
especially on the Rome clay. So
with Shelton, there's not a guarantee that he'll get to that stage.
Yeah, also.
So,
for example, Kotov, is a tricky player.
Yeah. Right now, I'm looking.
The draw is not that bad.
I'm looking at Casper getting to the quarterfinals anyway. I mean, it's not the biggest prediction ever, but I'm also looking at his matches. Depending on who the qualifiers are, that will make a difference. But right now, I'm thinking,
yeah, I actually like Rublev's draw a lot.
Okay, let's have a look at Rublev.
Have to say.
Yeah, Fucsovic, Giron, Jari, whose form is not great at the moment. Artefis, similar. Arnaldi, Mahach. Yeah, Berrettini. Good to see Berrettini in a draw. All Italian. Who's he playing? Berrettini. Hang on. Is he playing
Napolitano?
Napolitano. There we go. So yeah,
maybe Arnaldi in round 3 for Berrettini. Maybe Italian after Italian after Italian.
Could be. Yeah.
It's not a bad draw for Andre, in my opinion. Among the top 4 seeds, it's probably the one with fewer, big threats earlier, considering the form, at least. Then maybe,
Jan-Lennard Struff, second round potentially.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, also Struff is playing cash in
but
the first.
Also Tsitsipas, it's not that quarter, in my opinion, doesn't feel that bad for both, because there's this second round against Struff, but then if you win that, doesn't look impossible, to look forward for what's next. For example, if we see the last quarter,
yeah,
Medvedev, there is, Tommy Paul, Olger Rune, Hurkacz, you never know. Oh, Nadal, he's there.
Yeah. He's got a qualifier in the first round.
Qualifier. Okay,
Yeah.
I was looking Sabo thrilled,
No,
but
he's got the
yeah.
qualifier. Yeah.
Qualifier then Hurkacz.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hurkacz in Rome has never done something, unbelievable. could have gone better for
Oh,
sure,
but could have got worse for you mean for
but could
Rafa?
have done worse. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we sort of started this chat about the draw, I was thinking, yeah, not bad. Like I was saying about Rafa and the French Open, and it could be a horrible draw, and then we're looking at an early exit. But if he gets a draw like he had in Madrid, or if he gets a draw like he's got here, I think he'll fancy his chances to at least win a couple of matches, both in Rome and also in Paris. Although we don't know who the qualifier will be, we'll see who that turns out to be. So it could be a tricky one. But yeah, Rafa against Hurkacz, it's probably a 50-50. So we'll see if that match actually happens. As you say, Sabot Wild is also in that section. Daniel Altmaier as well. Holger Rune is probably the last person I want to sort of talk about regarding, where he's at right now and looking at Rome. Of course, he was a finalist last year, so he's defending a lot of points as well. His peak, and he's a contender for sure, but I don't know where we're at the moment with Holger.
I'm looking at Altmaier as a kind of a scary opponent,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But yeah, it's very difficult to talk about him. If all these players play at their peak, barring Nadal, which we know all this, Rune is maybe, the favorite to get to a quarterfinal against, someone like Medvedev, or I don't know. But about him, there's a lot of uncertainty always about which Rune will show up. I'm not that optimistic right now.
No,
Not in the long term, but in the short term. If I have
absolutely.
to analyze, the chance for the next tournament or the next month, I'm not having this feeling that something big is in the making for the upcoming, events. But yeah, for sure he's a tough opponent for everybody, and I still wouldn't like to see him in the draw also because he mentions a lot that he likes to play in Rome, and I think it's right. So maybe playing there can make him feel comfortable. The conditions can suit him well. He has a lot of support from the crowd also. I was there last year, so I understood that he actually is one of the protected guys from the Italian crowd. So
Okay.
let's see if he can use this as he's also one of these player who tends to be even a better version of himself in the hot environments, and so let's just see. It's difficult really to talk about him. Maybe we'll talk about him right now as the dark horse, maybe, even if he feels bigger than
Yeah.
the expression dark horse feels like. But considering how we did so far in the year, probably dark horse can feel like that. He's a player that if he peaks, he can be scary for everybody. If not, he can also lose early. So yeah,
Medvedev
that's it for me.
defending champion. We obviously with his injury concerns, but he'll have potentially Jack Draper or Borna Coric in the second round. Yeah, I don't know if you've got a feeling for a particular player going into this tournament. Obviously, Mario, you're off to Rome tomorrow to enjoy a couple of days in the Italian capital. By the way, when I say off to Rome to enjoy, I don't mean he's going to go sightseeing and go around the Colosseum. I mean he's going to the Italian Open. Casper Ruud is somebody I quite like, but then there's Djokovic in the quarterfinals, and I know Monte Carlo went very well for Casper, but generally that's not a matchup that Casper enjoys. Go on.
I really have no feeling watching this
Me-
draw, my God, because uh, all the players are, it feels like the two players who should be the most consistent ones are in the same quarter. Rude because he's been the most consistent one in the clay season so far. Yeah, he lost to Felix in Madrid. Totally, okay as a loss, in my opinion, after, what he did in the 2 previous weeks. And Djokovic, because we know that he's Djokovic. And actually, he wasn't, he was actually better than usually in Monte Carlo this year. So maybe this is a good indication going into Rome. Who knows? So I kind of have this feeling. But at the same time, I was liking Zverev's chances, but then in the end I saw that there in Avone, Shapovalov, these players who can, like Cerundolo did in Madrid, can trouble him.
I didn't
I
see
would
the
have said
Cerundolo match.
Rublev, actually, watching the
You're going to go
draw.
for Rublev. You're going to go
But
for Rublev
what
into
he
the
did
draw.
in Madrid then tells me, will he do again? And also, the illness will be fine. So it's very tricky for me to
I maybe
say one
Zverev.
name.
Maybe Zverev, semi-finalist in the past in Rome. I think you mentioned the draw, but it's all...
Zverev is a former champion,
former champion in Rome. My goodness, sorry, apologies.
finalist the year after. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, I think he and we often think about Zverev and being obviously a big server, and we think about the hard courts in particular, but he's very, very good on the clay and throughout Germany. Actually, there's a lot of clay courts here. In fact, mostly clay courts. Yeah, I think maybe I'm struggling, to be honest with you, Mario, because I
well,
think
it can be
there's...
because overall it's maybe a tough clay court match, maybe in the third round, if you get someone like Navone or Shapovalov. But then
but
Bublik, I don't see
Dimitrov,
Bublik beating Zverev in Rome,
no.
actually. So Dimitrov
I
is already
see.
the
I
quarterfinals.
do.
So
If he plays his normal level, he should get to the semis.
yeah,
So
actually, yes.
if he plays his
I
normal
have to
level,
be honest, yeah.
yeah. So whereas you've got Tsitsipas would potentially play Rublev, I can see Dimonor in there as well, and
Well, at
Felix.
this point, I will say this because I have this thing in my head that
Go.
is we've got Tsitsipas breaking his bad momentum in Monte Carlo. We got the same with Rublev in Madrid. I'll say that we will have the same with Zverev in Rome. So maybe that's my pick.
Yeah, mine too, with very little confidence, but it's mine too. Listen, Mario, thanks for coming today, and also
That's
enjoy
Djokovic
your...
in Rome, yeah. We don't have
Yeah.
to underestimate him.
Oh, listen, Djokovic is just there, and it's an obvious
Yes, exactly.
possibility. It's an obvious possibility. Obviously, his first tournament back, he wins a couple of matches, plays very well, and then suddenly you're looking at an unstoppable force. But right now, there's probably more doubts about Novak than there were in the last few years, at least going into this tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
Sounds like a fire alarm. Anyway, on that bombshell, Mario, I will bring this to an end and check out what that noise is and see if it is indeed a fire alarm. Please, everybody, give Mario a follow on the social medias, but in particular on Twitter at MarioBC, BOC.
Yeah,
Here we
yeah,
go,
it's
17.
the
There you go.
beginning of my surname, that's why.
Beginning of your surname, exactly. And also give us, of course, a follow at Talking Tennis TT. We look forward, of course, to seeing Mario in the coming days and weeks, as I'm sure we will, as we build up also to the French Open. And everybody else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.